first of all, I wanna say that the most important asset we all have is time. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here. My name is Jalen James. I'm from New York City, born and raised. Dominican parents, European, but who cares? All right, I'm a mess. All right, but it's all good. I do want to say that I want to share my screen, and what I want to talk about today is something that I coined. We all talk about it. There's a lot of people talking about this subject right now. Many years ago, I discovered the very best way to get the best out of my creativity. And I found that for a long time, the one thing that was hindering my not just my creativity, but where my creative endeavors were going, right? We don't want to just create just to create. We want to get somewhere with our creations, right? We want to eat from that dream, right? We want to be able to pay our bills, buy our food, rock great clothes, do whatever we want to do because of our passion. And so it took me many years to figure that formula out. And yeah, I call it a formula. And as you can see by the title of my talk, the science of positive failure is where I landed, right? And the reason why I landed on that is because I got to say, I was so amazing at failing. Oh my goodness. I got to say, let me share my screen so I can explain to you how great I was at being amazing at failing. Here we go. And voila. So welcome, creatives. As I said before, I was so amazing that I called myself, I always said I had a PhD in failure. I went to TFL University. If you don't know what TFL University is, but I guarantee that a lot of you actually know what TFL University is. You just didn't know that it existed. This is the degree I have from that university. It's a wonderful degree. Tough fucking life university is amazing. It just teaches you the things about life that you didn't know you needed to know. So but what happens is that when you're in a place of negativity and life is happening to you, or so you think, right? And all these different things are coming at you, whether it's your parents initially, your friends, your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, right? These things affect you and affect your creativity, and we take them initially like a negative thing. We're defensive about it. We just don't deal with things very well. So let me give you a quick rundown as to how I got here and why this all became a thing for me. Okay, so my parents are originally from Dominican Republic. So naturally I call myself a doctor, right? Dr. Jalen James. Okay, that doesn't make sense. But the reason is, because I say I have a PhD in failure. So therefore, I usually joke around that this is where it all comes from. I'm going to skip this little part. Look, this was me. Now, this guy, if I could go back in time and tell this young man right here that, first of all, I wouldn't have any hair in the future, I would not believe you. That's the first thing that would come out of my mouth. That would not happen. Okay. But second of all, I was a struggling musician. And in this picture that you see, I just acquired that guitar from someone asking me to borrow $40 at the restaurant that I worked at. So therefore, the guitar, I'd never played guitar before in my life. I was too terrified to look at it. But little by little, I began to think that it was possible that I could learn how to play the guitar. And I'm going to tell you a quick story of how this whole thing happened. And it led to an incredible life, which I'm going to tell you a little bit more about. But the more important thing is how I transitioned from looking at the negative things that were happening in my life and understanding the formula that, listen, every great scientist has to blow up the lab at least 1,000 times before they get the formula right. Okay. So before you understand why these things that are happening in your life are happening and why they're hindering your creativity and your productivity, you have to understand that there's a duality reality that is happening right now in your life. you know? And that duality reality says that for everything that exists, the other thing must exist. So if there's positive, there's negative, up, down, left, right, right? And this is in quantum physics, like literally. Trust me, I've been looking into this. And what happens is that, you know, when we're lined up with a blessing or something great that is happening in our lives, we always tend to go back to the negative. Like something that is happening in our lives is not allowing us to align with the positive. So to go back to the example, when this guy was around, young Jalen James was a struggling musician washing dishes at a Bubblegum Shrimp. If you've been to Bubblegum Shrimp, of course, you know Forrest Gump's restaurant. My boss, Forrest Gump, just kidding. But anyway, no, when I worked at this restaurant, you know, all I was thinking about was like, one day I want to do movies, I want to do music, I want to do something in tech maybe one day, but I didn't know how to get there. And at the time, that guy was sleeping in a park bench. Yes, I was sleeping in a park bench. I was living homeless in the city of Miami. And I had no way out. I didn't know what was going to happen or how it was going to happen. But I knew one thing, that I could not ever get myself to follow my passion, because I always had an excuse, you know, oh, I'm struggling, oh, I can't pay my bills, or I can't, you know. And so all these different things continue to keep me in a mindset of negativity in a way, you know. And it wasn't until someone gave me a book that it changed my life. So what I wanted to talk to you about today was this. These are things that I want you to take with you today. I want to show you what it means to learn how to learn from these situations. And I want you to, of course, create the reality that you want to live in. But in order for you to do that, you must live the reality that you want to live in now. Meaning you can't wait to be happy so that you can do things. You can't make excuses like, well, I don't have any funding to make this movie, so therefore I'm going to wait till I do this and that. No. We're always waiting for something else to happen before we create. And this is not the way to go about it. The universe says that you have to be in the moment. And you have to believe that these things are actually happening and that are possible for you. And to eat from your dream. Now, I've been saying this for a lot of years, and those of you that know me know why I say it, okay? When I was homeless, sometimes I'd go 5, 6, 7 days without eating. Think about it. You know, this is back in 2001, you know, 9/11 had just happened. You know, I'm living in a park. There's no work anywhere. I'm a young man. I'm stranded in life. Think about it. Imagine if you were homeless during COVID. That was the equivalent back then. 9/11 was just as bad, really. I mean, nothing was happening, and I was stuck. And so I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And so a lot of times I go without eating for a while. And so one day I just decided that I'm going to let my passion feed me. I'm going to go after my passion, my goal, my dream, but I needed to figure out how that was going to happen. And again, all the negative limiting beliefs that I grew up with, like, for example, my dad, who's an incredible human being now, but back then he just wasn't the nicest guy. Let's just say that. You know, I left the house kind of early because, you know, I kept, you know, the dumbass and dumb shit, blah, blah, blah. You know, you just kind of like want to leave home and leave that behind, especially because at the time, again, I had these dreams of being a musician. So when I left, I kept hearing that in my voice, you know, my head kept saying these things to me, until one day someone gave me a book. I slept on the beach, and this book that I was given literally changed my life. Now I'm going to skip a bunch of stuff and tell you that the book is Conversations with God. And what he did, listen, this is not about God or about Yoda or Buddha, or you call it whatever you want. This is about literally the law of attraction, and really understanding, more importantly, that changing your mindset can change your creativity and your creativity output and the way that you live your life. So that's exactly what happened to me. The long story short is that I got the book. About 3 weeks after reading that book, I began to read all these books that I thought could change the narrative, right? So I began to change the narrative, and the mindset began to change because words have power. So the narrative, believe it or not, was this: that the dummies books were actually the best books for me because my dad used to call me a dummy. Okay, fine. I'm going to take that and I'm going to make it into a positive. So I began to read all these dummies books, believe it or not. And as lo and behold, just a few weeks after I began to think in a different way and change my mindset, a newspaper audition. Yes, for those of you that are watching that don't know what a classified is, there was this thing before Craigslist called a classified, and you would look at things there like, it's like a Craigslist ad. But anyway, I looked at this thing, it said audition. I went to the audition after reading what you see there, Breaking into Acting for Dummies, true story. And I actually booked the audition, and that turned out to be the world launch of a new product. And that product was the Xbox for Microsoft. So imagine, here I was, a homeless kid on stage in front of 22,000 Microsoft and media people from all around the world, hosting the world launch of the Xbox for Microsoft, where I introduced Bill Gates, Paul Allen, Stephen Ballmer on stage. And that very day, my life changed forever. So I began to write songs, believe it or not, on the Xbox that they gave me. Sounds crazy, but it's not. Again, once you're changing your mindset, things begin to develop for you. And I began to make beats, believe it or not. And one of those beats was heard by Shakira's producer. Yes, Shakira is a famous superstar. Oh, back then her producer heard my music, brought me in, and the rest is history. I went on to be a part of a lot of records, sell a lot of millions of records, do a lot of really fun stuff, travel the planet, do a bunch of things, and build all these different companies that I have now. And the beauty of it is that now, not only do I get to invest in other people's dreams, but I also get to, more importantly, part my knowledge of how I changed my mindset. And that shift, that little paradigm shift, allow me to be the creative that I am today. I get to create and work on amazing projects. Like I'm working on an incredible project currently. Only thing I can say about it is Ben Stiller is the director. And so that's an incredible project that I'm really proud to be a part of, for example. And there's a bunch of other projects that I get to work on and be a part of that I'm just pinching myself every day, like, wow, I get to do this. And again, it's just the shifting of the mindset. So what I learned from that book was to learn how to learn. You must think outside of the box. You must think and allow people to tell you what we call criticism is not really a criticism. It's about learning what you don't know. And learning how to learn means learning somebody else's perspective, So these are things that I took with me. And manifestation, that's another thing that I wanted to bring up. I wanted to say this. I said earlier that words have power. And by that, I meant this. When I learned that, things like hope, I say, this is a little controversial, but I say hope is a lie, not because hope isn't good. Hope is meant to be, and it's not meant to be an indulgence for yourself. It's meant to be a gift for someone else. So when you change your words, right, and you stop saying, I hope I get this, the universe is just giving you more shit to hope for. So you don't want hope. What you want to do is give hope to somebody else, because it's a gift, but you want to think, I will, I am, I'm doing, I'm getting to do this. And so things like that, believe it or not, every single day, we're using these words that are causing us to lose out on a lot of opportunities. This is one of the things that I always say, this book doesn't exist. This is just something I made up, Manifesting for Dummies. I think it should be a book. I don't know why, but listen, it's as simple as this. Once I began to really learn how this whole thing works, I would get in front of auditions or investors or different people in 60 seconds before I had that meeting or had that to stand in front of folks, or I had to perform or anything. I would literally sit with myself and meditate. And I would think about, you ready for this? The outcome. Not what was going to happen in that room, who I was going to talk to, how I was going to pitch. None of that mattered at that very moment. The only thing I would think about, for example, in front of an audition would be like, okay, I can see the door I'm going to walk out of. So I would imagine myself calling my mother, saying, Mom, I got it. Oh my God. That joyful moment of saying, Mom, I got it. And wow, that the universe, that my spirit, my soul can understand, can feel, and can see. And by being in that moment, I would go in there and perform even better, do the things I had to do even better. And I promise you, things work out. After that, you know, the rest is just up to the universe and up to you really, you know, being in that moment. So things like that are important. Blind faith is another thing. You got to know that you're going to create something with a particular outcome. You know, again, anything else that has been affecting you doesn't matter. What matters is God or the universe, again, Yoda, Buddha, call it whatever you want. It gave you a gift, and that gift is for you to take in. What comes down is a download. We all have a different name for it. I call it a download. And the download is very simple. You know, you have that gift. You're supposed to give it out to the world. You're supposed to bless us with what your gift is. And once that happens, just have the blind faith that it's gonna work out, you know. And the simple formula, I always say, let your gift work for you, you know, instead of just, you know, thinking about that you have to aspire and work. No, just do what you're supposed to do. Focus on that, stay on a positive mindset, and the gift will do the work for you. The rest will be there for you. So yeah, so I changed words like I have to do this, or I need to do this, or I want to do this, I'm going to do this, I wish to, I hope to. That has to be out of your vocabulary. Is I will, I am, I'm ready to. You know, this is what's happening now. By the way, that was the first Xbox. Yeah, that was the first the product that I launched. So yeah, I ended up becoming a pioneer in Latin music. Today, we know names like Bad Bunny, of course, J Balvin, Shakira, a bunch of people that some of them I had the privilege to work with, but more importantly, I was a pioneer of that industry, and I was able to travel the planet and do incredible things going on hundreds of countries, over 70 countries. Yeah, I had the time of my life. And yeah, this is my early beginnings. This is myself from the farm that I came from. So obviously in Dominican Republic, anything is possible. And I've been able to do conferences at Harvard and do a bunch of different cool things that I'm doing now. But the most important, that's my mother, by the way. But the most important thing is that I wanted to impart in this conversation is that everything that is happening to you is happening for you. It is literally what I call, you know, the word impossible really says I'm possible, you know, and all of these things are important. That as a creator, no one ever talks about the shit that we got to go through. All the times people are saying no to you, all the times that people are turning you down, all the negative and mental health issues that we're having, because every single day we're literally the only industry that we can go and study whatever, and yet there is no final, you know, sure product at the end of the day that we can count on. It's all about creativity. And so for these reasons, I really made it a focus in my life to talk about the manifestation, the mental health aspect of it, and how to deal with when the shit hits the fan, you know, how to deal with these things. You know, that's what I want to know. Talk to me about those answers. How do I deal with the failure? How do I deal with these issues that I'm having as a creator in order for me to continue to be inspired to create? So with that, I just want to just open it up and just have a conversation, a dialogue with you guys about some of these things that you guys may be dealing with.
Yeah, we've got a couple of minutes now before the end if you want to ask anything in the chat or get on the mic if you want to.
Yeah, for sure. Whoever. There you go. Well, I see a lot of beautiful faces here. A lot of creators, I'm hoping.
Gavin says, thank you. That was great.
Awesome.
Any questions anyone wants to ask? Here we go. Please share your insights from CWG series. Thanks.
Very good. Anybody?
Did you get that in the chat,
Oh wait, yeah,
Jalen?
I just opened the chat. Sorry.
That's all right.
The book, yeah, the book is Conversations with God. And again, it's just a great read and something that'll really, really, really blow your mind. Glad that I did, because it was exactly what I needed to be. Yeah, exactly. And it's funny. The book literally talks about this. I'm glad that you're saying that. Jay, right, is your name? Let me put it to you this way. When a girl gave me that book as I was walking home to my park bench at night. When the girl gave me the book, you know what I said? What the f do I need a book for? I don't. What are you giving me a book for? And when I turned the book around, the book was about a homeless man that lost everything. He ended up sleeping in a park. Think about it. In my mind, I was like, holy crap, this was written for me and about me, I felt, right? At that very moment. But this is kind of like what that book does. When you start reading the book, it's going to answer a lot of things. And again, it's really more on a broadly scheme. It's really more about the law of attraction and how to deal with those questions that us as humans have about our purpose, you know? You can open your mic, Jay.
So without going into great detail, I've had an interesting few years that have created some, depression, and I keep feeling like I'm waiting to be able to do the things that I want to do. And so there were a couple other sessions. It's like, I have this list of sessions that I want to watch, and I couldn't get into any of them. And I'm like, well, let me try this one, because this one is interesting too. And so that's how I stumbled in here. And
nothing is a stumble.
I know, right? And I am a big believer in law of attraction, positive affirmations, positive thinking. And yet some of the outside circumstances have been pretty significant. A lot of people are going through a lot of shit these days.
Yes.
And it's amazing how easily, in some cases, those ways that you truly are get pushed aside because you get bogged down by the crap. And so I just want to say thank you very much, because this was like that, slap up alongside the head. It's like, hey, get back to where you used to be. So thank you very, very much for that. My wife will thank you too.
Thank you. I'm glad again to hear you say this. And yeah, listen, this was a message that was given to me when I needed it. So I'm just giving it back. This is just all I'm doing, yeah, feel free to reach out to me. Is at Jalen James. I'll put it on the chat. Andy, if you can, my friend Andy's on the chat. I think you know my IG, right? Oh, Rachel's on the chat. Put my Instagram on there just so that they can follow me. And if you have any questions, but yeah, look, I'm a creator like you guys are. I'm in film, music, and tech, and a bunch of other different cool things. But to me, this talk was more important, so that because all of us are dealing with a lot of different things, and no one's even talking about what we had to deal with the last 2 years, being locked up as creators, and no one's talking about it. It's like people just like forgot that as musicians, as producers, as filmmakers, as all of that, we needed each other. We needed to be around people. We needed to network, and we were not just only locked up in there, but our jobs weren't even considered like a real job, right? So it's funny that no one's talking about the mental health aspect of what all of us have dealt with, being locked up and cooped up in a place.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you do every day when you wake up to set up your mindset? I watch comedy. I don't do it right away, but certainly, the first thing that I do before I start talking to people or do anything is I watch, either I hear some comedy or I watch some comedy. I want to start my day with laughter, and I want to be in a happy place. And I do the same thing when I want to wind down and go to sleep later. I just want to be in a happy, joyful place before I start my day, and so that I can do the same for other people.
So unfortunately, I know there's a few more questions in the chat, but we are out of time. But did you say that was your Instagram in the chat, Jalen?
That is my Instagram, yes.
Yes.
One last thing. I've been postponing creating because I didn't want to add more negativity out there. Just now getting to more positive images. Wow. Again, all of you, reach out. Let's have this conversation. We can have this conversation some other time, some other way. I'm sure Maxim will make it happen.
Yeah, no. Really inspiring. Thank you for talking to us, Jalen, today.
Thank you all. And can't wait. Light and love.